Welcome to Sip, Sell, Repeat, the real estate podcast for women who know success is best served with a great cup of coffee or a well-earned glass of wine. I'm Dr. Cynthia Tant, your go-to real estate expert, here to help you navigate the market with strategy, style, and a little bit of fun. Whether you're flipping your first property, scaling your portfolio, or just dreaming about your next big move, this is the place for you. So grab your drink of choice, settle in, and let's sip, sell, and repeat our way to success. Let's get started.
Hello, how are we doing? Julie George, the Julie George. I'm so excited to have you join us at Sip, Sell, Repeat today. And I'm Dr. Cynthia Tant, and we're just going to have a great time. I can tell you that. Julie and I have known each other for a bit period of time, maybe 5-6 years, something like that. Met in a class, and she's over across the pond, as we say, in Australia, and I'm here in Pensacola, Florida. And so, Julie, I'm going to tell them a little bit about who you are, according to what
It's my
I
favorite.
have
It's my
been
favorite
told.
story.
This is the best part. I know. It says Julie George is the author of Million Dollar Host and co-author of Hospitable Hosts, two international best-selling books that have inspired entrepreneurs worldwide to scale in the short-term rental space. That's how we know each other. And Julie built a portfolio of 130 properties, generating over 8 million in just 3 years before she successfully exited. Very successful exit at the right time, I can tell you that. And so today, she's one of the short-term rental industry's most influential global leaders, consulting, investing, and judging. Oh, you did the Shortyz Awards, judge the Shortyz Awards, and facilitate world's top the short-term rental mastermind leaders. And her unmatched insights and infectious enthusiasm, that's for sure, are empowering thousands of hosts to dream and achieve bigger. So this is Julie George, ladies. And what do you want to say, Julie? What do you want to say? That nice introduction there.
I think that's pretty amazing. And thank you very much for the kind words. Cynthia, I'm so excited to be on your podcast. Wow, what a long way we've come from Zooming in a class where we were teaching about short-term rentals and learning from each other and sip, sell, repeat real estate. I even got the mug in Australia. So I'm in Australia. I'm a day ahead of you. The future looks bright, but I'm very excited to be on your show. And look at you in your Hawaiian shirt. You're all the party
Wow,
gal.
fancy. I'm ready to go. Yes, I'm going to see you in a couple of weeks in Hawaii. We can talk about that a little bit later. Big question. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I should have brought mine. You should have told me ahead of time. Anyways, big question that I'm sure you always get asked by people on podcasts. And how did you, I'm going to start the big one first. How did you get your portfolio built to 130 properties in just a few years? How did that happen? That's the big
Crazy,
question.
right? I think back on it now and I think it's mind-blowing because, and I'm going to be honest with everybody, look, I came in 2016, so it was early days in Australia where nobody had really tapped into the property management side of short-term rentals. So I came in early. I came in to the perfect location which was Cairns, North Queensland, Australia. For anybody who's listening in right now who has watched the movie Nemo, that's the Great Barrier Reef. That is where I lived. And that particular city had a lot of visitors, a massive international visitation. However, we didn't have much in the way of accommodation. So the supply and demand meant that I could come in, I was fully supported promoting short-term accommodation. So that's very rare as well. Coming into an area where there were no regulations, there was full support from the council, and there was no competition. So it was coming into the perfect storm. So as soon as I decided that I was going to run this short-term rental business, there was two ways I could go about it. I could go the hard way, knocking on doors, looking and begging for clients and looking for properties, or I could get on the press, into the media and talk about the short-term rental experience, educate the community, and create such a brand and a buzz around Airbnb, which was the key word at the time, that I had people lining up and wanting to come to me. So it was
Wow.
really fortunate. It was a very different time. So if you're listening in now and you're going, gosh, I'm really struggling to get a property, I know. I hear it every day. I know that finding the right property, finding the right owners of a property is always tricky. But at the time, 2016, I was fortunate enough to be in the right time, right place. But the other thing that I did in hindsight that I look back on is that I had the right structure in place. I was very much aware that I couldn't do this all on my own. So I needed to have a really good team on board, and I needed to make sure that I was okay with delegating. Now, that took a little bit of time. In fact, I can pinpoint that exact moment for you if you like. That was after I'd made 17 beds in a row, 17 beds in one day. I went home and I thought, who came up with this
Who just
crap?
could do
Like, who
that?
decided short-term rentals was the thing? So I thought, two options. I can either go get a job or I can go and find some help. And fortunately, I sat down with a very good friend of mine, Glenn, who turned 70 that year in 2016. And he said to me, I don't want to give up work. I don't want to retire. What can I do to earn some income and be a little bit self-sufficient? And I said, have you got a mop, a bucket, a smartphone, a car? Here's 10 properties. You make the beds. I'm going to go out and find more properties while you take care of the guests, the housekeeping, the laundry, and the maintenance of the homes. And that's how we worked it. So I put a co-host model in place that really
Okay.
helped me level up super quick.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say is you had little mini businesses within your business, which was a co-host process before that term ever evolved, right? Seriously, if you go back and you look at 216,
Yeah,
so
that's right. It was like
2016,
a franchise. I guess it was a franchise model
it was a,
with being a franchise. I was saying, here, Glenn, here's 10 properties
right.
in your geographical location. You go and look after them. And then, of course, I went out and did what I knew that I could do best, and that was marketing, branding, finding new properties, onboarding them. But then as soon as I had another five, and I gave that to a single mum. She had little school age kids. She took on that portfolio of five properties, and I just kept rinsing and repeating, sip, sell, repeat,
Yes,
right?
sip, sell, repeat.
Uh,
We had a lot of sip in there at that time, I'm sure.
there was a lot of sipping.
A lot of sipping. And so you mentioned having that team because I've gone through the same thing and finding that team or those people that fit that model. The systems that you had in place, did you hit and miss on that since it was such early in the, not like we have today where we have tech stacks and we do this and we change around. And so I'm sure it evolved. I'm sure you evolved into using
Oh,
whatever.
I tell you, in less than 10 years, it's evolved so much. In 2016 through to 2019, when I sold my business, I didn't use a PMS. So there you go. There's a
Oh,
big
wow.
myth. No
Yeah.
PMS because they didn't exist.
Sure.
They
Oh, yeah.
possibly did, but I didn't know about it. In Australia, we were using real estate software. Let me tell you my tech stack back then. It was zero for accounting. It was a real estate software because I had to be compliant with a trust account. And I think that was it. Like, I didn't have it. My biggest regret, Cynthia, was that I didn't use dynamic pricing. And I look at the money
Pricing.
that I left
Yeah.
on the table. Yeah, I guessed because I think it was around at that time, but I thought, what would these people know from overseas? How would they know what my property should be worth here? How do they know about the local events? I'm an idiot, so don't do that. If you're listening in right now, do not take that advice that
Yeah.
I say to people now, please, the first thing you need to do in short-term rentals is seek a revenue manager, seek a dynamic pricing tool. But yeah, at the time, I wasn't doing it. So a lot of people say, how did you run 130 properties without a PMS, without revenue management? And for me, I ran all of those properties through only Airbnb. I wasn't on any other channels, any other.
Okay.
So I didn't need to have a channel manager. I used Airbnb smart pricing. What an idiot. Does make me lose sleep at night, but so I didn't need a pricing manager. I didn't have one. And then of
Yeah.
course with the Airbnb system, I was able to put a co-host like Glenn, my first co-host. He was able to be on there as a co-host and see all the messages from the guests. And we actually had a physical office as well, which kind of amazes a lot of people. But that physical
Yeah.
office was a game changer because people took me seriously. As soon as they saw the signage go up
Time.
and
Yep.
the bricks and mortar, they were like, let's go in and see what this girl is selling. And they knew that I wasn't a fly-by-night entrepreneur who was going to take their money, take their keys to their property and run away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really interesting to see. It's less than 10 years ago, and look how much it's
Well,
all changed the landscape.
oh my gosh, we've seen the growth. You personally being, I didn't get involved to, it's been 7 years. So yeah, but I did the same thing, but it evolved from my real estate business and my long-term rentals. So it evolved and I used my own properties as a model to start with. And so haven't looked back, but how
Mm.
did that mindset, you mentioned it, how did that mindset change from you doing it all to, okay, now I'm going to release some of that control. I'm going to let Glenn do it. I'm going to do, what did you have to do to get set your mind right to do that? Because a
Oh,
lot of people I know, especially women, we have a tendency to, we want to control it all. Yeah, we're not going to give it up. But like you said, I'm not doing
no, it's
17, making 17 beds in a day again.
and I
So,
think that was the clincher. I think I actually had to do that, the hard work to then realize how, and can I swear on your podcast? I'm
yeah,
going to.
that's fine.
Shit,
Yeah,
a cleaner I was. Like, I was
yeah.
terrible. The cleaning reviews were
Me
really
too.
bad.
I'm
That
terrible
was
too.
never there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we
I'm
are
terrible.
not going to start a
Yeah.
cleaning company, the two of us.
Yeah.
But I think it got to the point that it was desperation. I either had to go and get a job and give up the idea
Right.
and the dream of an
The
Airbnb
dream.
company,
Okay.
or to accept that I needed help. And once I accepted help and realized that, okay, there are people out there who are more skilled than I am, with more time than I had, and that are willing to do this, I actually got it really gave me joy to see, well, Glenn, for instance, Glenn really having his own business under my structure and earning, a six-figure salary a year and really being able to do very well out of this little business. So it was that mentoring and that helping others achieve their own dreams as well, that I was like, okay, this is cool. But my mindset, oh man, that is the hardest. Like, honestly, if you're an entrepreneur listening in right now, you're doing everything yourself. Been there, done that. Cynthia's been there, done that. And it's, you've got to accept help. You've got to really, you know what it is? I had to really look in the mirror and go, okay, Julie, what are you good at? What are you bad at? What do you like to do? What gives you energy? What drains you of energy? So it was almost a self-assessment to say, okay, what is the right role for me in my own business? And that was to step back and let others pretty much run the operational side while I went and did the marketing, the branding. The other thing I couldn't let go of was the counting the money. Like
Yeah.
that,
Oh, yeah. No.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you count the cash in the castle, but so I can't. There was a few things like that, but I really, yeah, it was really hard. And I think if anybody's listening in right now, accept that it is a hard task to let go, to delegate, but it is so rewarding, so rewarding. What
Like,
about
just for
you?
your own peace of mind and your physical being. We do try to do everything in families and children and relatives and parents. And we're supposed to be that, okay, you do it all and you run multiple businesses. And then so from that standpoint, I love what you said is do what you're good at and let everyone else do the other. And unfortunately, some people, because of the money part, they see if I can go clean this, then I'm going to make this money. But is that the best use of your time? It's not, because you
Yeah.
wanted to be the big picture, not the one. Now, I had a call at 12:30 the other morning that someone said, what happened was there was a double booking. It was an Airbnb fault. I don't even, both people, I had my PMS that had one person in there, and I had Airbnb that had another person in there. And this person in my PMS, they didn't get until 12:30 at night, and they're trying to get into the room that somebody's already in. So these people are
Oh,
calling the cops. And these people are going, I need to be here. Fortunately, I had an empty place, but guess what? It hadn't been cleaned yet because there wasn't anyone coming in until 2 days. And so, what am I doing at 1 o'clock in the morning? Because I am not waking up my cleaner because she would just kill me. So, I'm getting my brother up and we're going and we're cleaning this whole thing and we're moving the people in. And that just happened this week. So, it's just, I can't believe I'm doing this. But they're happy. Both parties are happy. Everything was, even though the police, I said, no, everything's fine. And the crazy thing is, this building, which is my main building, right behind us is the federal government ATF. It's got cameras, it's got lights, it's everywhere. But nothing happens around me because they're right there. But I know the mindset's real important. Now, I love your book in the back. Okay, I have had that. I've read through that the first week or second week. Yes, the millionaire host back there. And so, how did, first off, writing that book, and I know writing a book because I have a book also, but writing that book, how does that change your business? And then, how long did it take you to do it?
Absolutely. I know that I'm preaching to the choir here because your book was one of that I've actually got it on my bookshelf here that I just, it's a game changer, isn't it? I think when you publish a book, it is the best business card you'll ever produce. It levels you up in society. I'm just going to put it out there. People act differently when you've got a book and I don't know, it's almost like you're taken seriously. But the reasons I wrote the book in the first place was that I had this incredible success with my business. So in the first year, over $1 million income came through the Airbnb system, and people were looking at me going, like, how have you done this? What have you done? And so that question kept being asked over and over again. Now, rather than sip, sell, repeat, because that's what I was doing, I was telling everybody.
Exactly.
I actually decided, how about I put it in black and white and I print it and I'll tell my story. So the Million Dollar Host talks about my personal story, but it also shows people how they can do it themselves. So a lot
I
of
found it
people
really interesting. Yeah.
They were also asking, like, why are you giving your secrets away? Like, why would you tell
I know.
people? But why not? There's enough work to go around, and
I know there's plenty of money out there. And I, as a former professor, I like to share. I like to teach. I know tons of times, and you just give away information, and it always comes back to you. You look at all the people that you meet, look at the experience. Like, how did that open up for the book? Not only just writing the book, but
it opened up so many doors. I was invited to go into Brian Chesky's office in San Francisco. Like, for an Airbnb nerd, that was like going to Disneyland and meeting Mickey Mouse. I've been able to speak on stages worldwide. I've become an authority in the short-term rental industry, and I can judge awards. It's the media and the press have picked up on it. But the other reason I wrote that book too, and this is something that I guess it's more of a personal reason, is that the books are going to outlast you and I. We've got our time limited on this earth, but books are going to be here for hundreds of years to come, I hope. So there's a legacy there as well. So maybe one year in the future, great grandchildren, if I ever get any, hint, my son, if you're listening in,
son.
But if there's future generations that might actually one day look back and go, oh, look what my great grandmother did. So it was a personal legacy, but look, it's the best thing I've ever done. And then of course I got involved in the Hospitable Host series, so very well.
Say a little bit about that too, because there's some people, different groups of people, gals will be on this listening to the podcast here, and that's how I've not written a chapter or got into it yet, but I do know about it. And so talk a little bit about the Hospitable Host.
Hospitable Host series, there's 3 books, and they are made up of chapters of stories of hosts from around the world. And it's inspiring and memorable stories from Airbnb hosts around the world to educate and motivate, as it says on the front cover. I've been able to be in all 3 editions, and they are just incredible stories of people running their short-term rentals worldwide. There's a special story about Laura in Whistler, Canada, who runs one property, but through that one property, she was able to generate enough income to sponsor a lady from the Ukraine to bring her and her daughter over from the Ukraine to Canada, not to the United States, to Canada, and they were able to help that person rehome and get their license. And so the whole story is about how one short-term rental absolutely changed multiple lives, and
Wow.
it's really heartwarming. And so there's stories like that. There's stories like mine, and there's another lady, Rebecca Cribben, who has 350 properties in Australia, and it talks about her massive success in the industry. This industry, it all touches us in different ways. Pensacola, you've got your real estate combination with term rentals. So it's changed our lives in so many ways. This platform, the Airbnb platform, the short-term rental industry. And yeah, if we can read about it, be inspired, and then motivate us to go out and do something ourselves, job done. And that's really what the Hospitable Host series was about, was to amazing. So
the stories, I've read them when they first came out. I don't know them exactly the way you say them, as far as I don't know names and stuff like that. When we think about, what do you think about the short-term rental business, or what's happening now, especially globally? We're having some issues with Canada's not coming to Florida right now, the United States. So it's just okay. So here we're dealing with that, who was a big source of politics, I should say. But
a lot of issues out there at the moment. And in fact, even Australia, we've had travel warnings not to travel
I
to the
know, not to come to the United States. And it's like,
I'm ignoring it. I'm always going to the United States, and I never have a problem. And I love, love, love the United States. But unfortunately, the media pick up on one or two incidents, and then they blow it out of proportion, and then it affects our industry. So I am a little concerned, to be honest, about our industry as a whole, because I think there's scaremongering in the media, and especially what's happening in the Middle East at the moment.
I know.
There's a lot of people very nervous about traveling and being stuck or isolated or detained
Somewhere.
or
Look what happened with COVID. Like, you're being stuck in somewhere, not getting home because they wouldn't let you back or let you out or whatever. In Florida, it was just like a month down, and then we were wide open, and it was crazy during that time. Okay, let's just be wide open. Everybody come to Florida. Okay. But during that time, the disinfecting and all that, I didn't want to talk about that. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Anyways, that was crazy. That was
a horrible time, but I think during COVID, so many of our businesses flourished. And for me, it was the education of, I guess, Zoom was amazing. Apps like Clubhouse. And then,
and like, I was going to say, like, membership groups, like the community, getting the community. How important is that, especially in this industry? Because we were both in Austin, 3 weeks ago or something like that. And oh my gosh, that housekeeping Olympics. What do they call that? It was
housekeeping Olympics.
Housekeeping Olympics was the craziest things. I'd never seen it before. And I had the videos, and I goes, oh my God, look at this. Making a bed. God, that person really makes a bed that fast. Jeez.
That's right. If you're listening in right now, what we're talking about was a conference that we were at. It was VR Nation. They had an event called Housekeeping Olympics, and they had the attendees, Cynthia included.
I was a judge. I was a timekeeper. I was timekeeper.
Actually, we had the best job. We were judging and reporting times, but we were all involved somehow. Now, some people were making beds. Some people were vacuuming floors, throwing toilet brushes, doing all sorts of competitive nature in our industry. Gee, it was fun. And it was funny to watch. There is a lot of fun to be had, but I think this business can be a very lonely business. Now, that sounds crazy when we're talking about we're running a hospitality business, we're looking after people and accommodating them per night, but it can be very lonely. And I think when we can get together as a community, whether it's online, whether it's in person, it's so important to be able to lean in on each other and support each other. You mentioned it before, as a professor, sharing and being able to impart knowledge on other people. That is really a mission of mine at the moment, to make sure that, especially with the young ones coming through, and you're going to see it when we go to Hawaii together. Cynthia and I are headed to Hawaii in 3 weeks. Little retreat. There's 30 of us that are going to get together, and we're going to talk short-term rentals, but most importantly is when we are sitting by the side of the pool with our Mai Tais, we're probably going to still talk business, but on a deeper level. And I know that we've got about, oh gosh, there's probably at least 10 people coming that are all under the age of 30. And I just think
Really?
yeah, the young ones we need to embrace. We need to give them as much knowledge as we possibly can, because the future really depends, the future of the industry, the future of hospitality really depends on us being able to guide those,
The youngins.
make sure they're okay. But so yeah, really looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks and seeing so many of our other familiar faces in the
What,
industry.
so talking about the youngers, this is my last question, really. This is what words of wisdom from Julie would you want to give to those younger mentees that are going to be listening to us, not only in Hawaii, but I know on your podcast and your information and at your conferences and people that you're going to in future embarking and your membership group and all that good stuff. What are some few things that you could impart for that younger crowd coming through?
Yeah, I would just really encourage the young ones to consider entrepreneurship as there's a lot of talk, and I know you're a professor. I was also helping people find a job. That's the path. You need to get a job. It's complete
Yeah.
bullshit. I just feel that
Yep.
for the young ones, if they've got entrepreneurial skills, and I see a lot of them, they all live and breathe off their bloody phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they've got skills there, and especially with AI coming in, if we
Oh
can
man. Yeah.
to embrace that and to really find ways of streamlining other people's businesses or helping them build a business of their own, I think that's really important. So for me, it's always about really doing that self-assessment. What is it that you like to do? What gives you energy? What are you good at? Okay, now let's mix that in with how do we leverage that and make money out of it? Now that's the one thing that you'll always hear me saying, okay, but are you making money out of it? Like, let's
Many of
make
it.
some
Yeah.
money. It's all well and good to volunteer our time, but we've
Right.
got to make sure we can put a roof over our head at the same time. But I really would encourage the young people of today to look at the sharing economy, to look at AI in particular, and see how your skills might be able to come into that fold and deliver a product or a service that might be able to be the future, your future, and you can make a living from that. But yeah, I just
Well,
if any,
yeah, it's just sharing again. I got a 21-year-old that just came into my office and from a server. The hospitality industry
mm,
has the salespeople and everybody else in there. And one's a pilot, so 1-year-old. And so he was coming in and just, I said to him today, because I'm showing him the short-term rental business, and he is my dad. I went home, it was yesterday. He goes, "You need to get your real estate license and your broker license so then we can buy our own properties," and went on and on. I said, "You just talked to your dad last night." He's so excited. So
yeah.
tomorrow I have a listing appointment. I have a B&B appointment. I said, "Okay, we're going." And so he says, "I'm going with you." But he's 21 years old. He hasn't even finished college yet. And I said, what are you in college for?" I said, "What's your degree?" He goes, "Economics." I said, "What?" And I said, "What do you want to do?" He says, "I thought I was going to be a lawyer, but I don't know." I said, "Do you really want to be a lawyer?" He goes, "No, I really don't." Okay, where his brother's a Navy pilot, so he thought, "Oh, I got to go in the military and be a pilot like my brother." No, that's not happening because dad's a pilot and all that kind of stuff. But it's very interesting on his mindset, but he has all the tools of a 21-year-old online. He was
Mm,
doing all kinds of stuff today with the website, and I go, "Okay, you're hired." But we're
that's so
gonna
good.
go. It's really fun to have somebody that young because everybody says to me, being older, they go, "What are you gonna do when you retire? Or when do you retire?" And I said, "Why would I retire?" I said, "What would I do if I retired?"
It's never
like
going to happen.
like you said. I know, like you said, it's like the world's out there, but as long as I can travel and do this and have fun, I'm going to keep on going. Because for to go to Hawaii, I said, "Oh, sell another house, no big deal." And but so no, really, my Social Security check goes into my travel fund, so it's every month I get my travel fund just goes into my bank account. That tells you how old I am.
Oh,
But anyways, Julie, I
beautiful.
want to
Look,
thank you. Huh? Go ahead.
thank you. I just want to tell you how amazing your attitude is and the way that you view life, and like How cool is it that with this industry, we can work from anywhere in the world? Once we've
Yeah.
got the system in place, we've got a team in place, it frees us up, and then that's why so many of us can travel to. We're in Austin, next we'll be in Hawaii. Where will we go after that? We'll figure that
Well,
out.
I don't know. We'll figure that out. I mean, and it's really interesting because I have sold houses and while I've been on vacation, and so it's okay. I like this, but I want to thank you so much, Julie, for joining me. And how can we get in touch with you if we want to get some
Absolutely.
information from you, your mastermind group? You tell us, how can we get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Firstly, folks, if you are still listening and you've stuck with Cynthia and I for this whole episode of this amazing Sip, Sell, Repeat real estate podcast, I want to invite you to get in touch with me on social media. And if you can message me and say, I listened to you on Cynthia's podcast, I'm going to give you a free copy of the Million Dollar Host ebook. So there's a free copy there, but also I'm going to invite you to get on a Zoom with me, a 15-minute free Zoom, just to talk about your own short-term rental journey, what you're currently challenged with, or what your dreams are. I love hearing what people's goals, dreams, ambitions are, and then checking in with them 6 months later to see if they've made any progress towards those goals. But folks, if you're listening in, come and get in touch with me for a free 15-minute Zoom, a free copy of the book. And the way to do that on Instagram, the handle is @$1,000,000host. Or if you look up Julie George Million Dollar Host, Google Julie George Million Dollar Host. There's 1,000 ways to get in touch.
Everywhere. Yep.
And I promise I will be the person that will respond to you. I have got a team behind me, but I love social media, so I'm on this thing all the time too, just messaging people. But just let me know that you listen to me on Sip, Sell, Repeat Real Estate, and yeah, I will be able to let Cynthia know that she's got an audience out there, and
Yeah. We're just having fun with it. We are really having fun with it. So I want to thank you again.
That's a wrap on this episode of Sip, Sell, Repeat. If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another powerhouse woman in real estate. Got a topic you want me to cover? Send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep sipping, keep selling, and keep repeating that cycle of success. Cheers to you and your next big deal.